All right, just wanted to share my workflow recently. I've changed it up in how I'm using Claude Code. Um, as many of you are looking at a lot of these terminals all the time, you got a bunch of tabs going. You are, not really reading it. You're just kind of waiting for it to prompt you to, take the next step, tell it to do the next thing. Maybe you answer some questions, and I'd love to hear your guys' feedback on how you're working with it. I know this doesn't apply to everything. A lot of times you're going back and forth with the agent, whether it's Claude or something else, to work through something. You ask it questions. How does this work, or how do I want it to work? And you kind of are working through an idea or a bug with it. But I found, a lot of times, like you got all these tabs lined up, maybe you got a couple different projects. I was really getting into a groove where I have a great prompt of what I want. I put it into plan mode, maybe answer some questions. It works for a while, and then I'm waiting. I'm sitting on the couch with my laptop, just waiting for it to be done with that, so that I can tell it to then go code review that work. And then that goes on for even longer. It spins up like 12 agents to do code review, and comes back. And, again, maybe it has a couple questions, but then I just tell it, hey, go ahead and fix all that stuff. And it felt like I'm just babysitting a bunch of tabs so that I can, hit tab enter for whatever it wants to do next, or, whatever the next step in that flow from plan to code review is. And again, this is kind of the happy path, for software development. If you have a really good idea of what you want built or the bug fixed, and have your specs solid. But I was tired of kind of being a slave to watching and monitoring these tabs. It feels like I have to be around. People probably have experienced this too. You're like on the couch, or you're trying to get one last up enter, or tab enter in, so that you can go have dinner or something, and feel like Claude's working for you in the background, because it's going to take 20 minutes or however long, and that's great, right? Like it feels good to have it doing the work for you, some of the legwork behind the scenes. And so I wanted to see, like, it seemed like an obvious thing to streamline that process, automate that process, rather than me doing two keystrokes every 15 minutes or something. And so I'm curious what you guys have been doing to solve that problem. I know I've seen on the timeline months ago, like a notification bell, or a thing on your desk that they'll connect to it, that'll the bobblehead will bob or something. But I'm hungry for a better solution, and I know there's some more complicated tools out there that I might start reaching for, but I started to build my own. And let me take it one step further. Of the problem statement is that there's a project that, let me jump over here to GitLab, where I would like to work with another developer on. So a lot of the Claude coding stuff, you're just cranking stuff out for yourself, but or as a solo developer, right? You don't need a whole team. But there's also something about the terminal where I feel like there's a lot of history lost of the conversation. What was the problem statement when it will ask you questions? Sometimes I think, well, did I pick the right answer of the choices it gave me? And it would be nice to have that history of the decisions that were made, what was done, that kind of thing. And so, of course, I was thinking, like, I already keep the code in GitLab or whatever kind of foundry of choice you use, and as old as software development. Basically, we've been using ticketing systems, and this works really well. And so I basically wanted to see if I could work with and in the normal software development tools that we are used to using, and have a coding agent, code reviewing agent alongside my existing process, so that I gain the visibility and history and am freed up a little bit from feeling like I'm chained to the terminal, where I have to be staring at it and feeling like I got to keep it going, where I can work in a slightly more beautiful UI to write my prompts, to review Claude's responses, and work with screenshots a little more naturally than in the terminal. And so I wired up a workflow integrated with my GitLab here, and I've been working on Clipperoni, to the app that helps you make clips from your long form content, like a YouTube video or a podcast. And for instance, so here's like your normal board or stack of tickets, and I can go ahead and take my time to write a description of what I'm looking for. Got kind of the story or epic, as a user, this is what I want, and why I want it, and kind of what I think it should look like. And all I have to do is drag this into a ready column for Claude, and it'll go ahead and pick up that task in the background without me doing anything. And so I'll show you a little bit what that looks like, how that's been working out pretty well for me over the past couple of weeks. So here's like 3 different tickets that I've done, that like feature requests or bug fixes that were straightforward changes that I wanted made, and yet I wanted to go through the full software development cycle of code review and kind of feel really confident in them. So here's a request I made as an admin. I want to reorganize our dashboard so it can be more efficient. So I've been looking at this page, and it is not organized the way I want. So pretty simple reorg here. Let's move some stuff around. Let's make, while we're here, let's add some indicators to one of the panels, and move those things over to a health, and add a panel to the health as well. So there's kind of like 3 little changes here grouped up under one heading. And if we look at the history of the ticket, I moved it to Claude Ready, and then Claude has its own user here, and they moved it to in progress once they picked it up, and commented when they started working on it, and then jumped into plan mode. And so here you can see the plan that they came up with. Normal, using plan mode's great. And so now I get the history of that whole plan, where normally these would be pretty much lost in my terminal console. But now I've got all that here. And at the end, for decisions, this is where normally it would ask you questions if it had something wasn't clear, like what tab did you want me to move this to, or whatever. But no clarification was needed here because I had a well-defined ask, and so it indicated that here, and then it automatically rolls right into the development. And so you can see the updates it's doing to the ticket. It runs the build phase to actually work on it, and then it's gonna tag, as GitLab will cross-reference everything. It will open up a merge request. It's like a pull request in GitHub. So here's the merge request it came up with for that feature. Obviously, it does all the writing of the titles and descriptions. But one of the really cool things is that it can attach screenshots. So now in line here with the proposed change is a screenshot of the before and the after. So one of the minor changes I asked for was just to have thumbnails here that we already had somewhere else in the app, but it just wasn't on this admin panel. And so, I said, hey, go ahead and do that. And I think it's pretty cool to be able to review this change right in the Foundry GitLab where we're used to working. I'll get an email with all these events like you normally would if you're working on a software engineering team, from GitLab that says, hey, this merge request is ready. And so you can see Claude continued to add other screenshots, added the health tab here. I pulled some stuff out of one of the tabs, and it was a bit much for the tab I was looking at to make it useful. So I said, hey, go ahead and group it all up in the health tab and add this new panel here. So this is perfect. I can see exactly what it did right here captured. And of course I can open it up and look at it in my browser myself, but it's really nice, I think, and fun to have a historical record of exactly what change it made. So it goes into full detail here, what changed, if there's any feature flags, how it verified it, all the usual stuff that you get from Claude. And some of this might be based on the way I've prompted it with some commands and skills to keep documentation up to date and some of that kind of stuff. I don't know if it'll always do that by default. And then, if we look at the history of the merge request, you can see the comment where it came and did a code review. So I have some prompts that kind of skills that I tell it to follow in this workflow. So, first it opens the merge request from the build, but then it does a code review on it, and it shares all of that here and what it's usually the same sections, I guess, like what it fixed, what it didn't fix, and how it verified it. And one of the other kind of interesting things here is with Claude having access to my Foundry GitLab, it can also create tickets. So I find recently code review will often, find a ton of stuff, a lot, which is great to fix right away. Some of them, it kind of needs your call, which I can do here as well. I can respond, but some of them, it will kind of fall into this deferred bucket. And now, through my pattern of workflow here, it'll just create a new ticket for itself for that task. So adds it to the pile. And I may or may not want to do these, mark this as a follow-up, and, I can kind of come in and see, like, is this worth doing? What's the impact? What's it going to do to fix it? And some of these are great cleanup. Some of them are like, it's probably not important. It is a edge case that may never happen. So I can go ahead and review those or leave feedback of what approach I want to take. Like here, you can see actually a response I did to Claude. So obviously the happy path, it just kind of does everything, and then you get this merge request ready to go that you can merge into your code base. But sometimes it'll ask you questions. Decision needs to be made, and you can reply to it, either directly reply to that comment that Claude made, or in this case, I just mentioned Claude because it didn't get the screenshot the first time with the Git work tree situation I have going on to be able to do this. And so then it picked that back up and worked on that and responded to me that screenshot was captured. And so then when it's done, it usually will mark it as ready to review. And that's when I come in and merge it. So I can show you a couple more examples of this. It's real great for these small changes that I want to make. But normally, again, I would have to open up a tab and be babysitting it through this process. And maybe you don't do code review and all those kinds of things, and it doesn't take you that long. But for instance, one thing I also told it to do was use the time tracking feature of GitLab. So on each of these tickets, work item or issue here in GitLab, Claude is doing its best to mark out the time it's spending. So we've got the build phase and the code review and the triage of the code review that at least gives me a ballpark of amount of time that one work item took, which I think will be cool for historical reference, or I can compare these tickets against each other and see exactly how much effort it took from Claude to actually spend on the ticket. So yeah, here's another one. I was like, hey, I have a new a tab that I can filter by new, but I want to break it out by those with email and those without email. Real simple. And so it went ahead and put together the plan, no clarification needed, and then here was the resulting merge request with the two new options there. Let's see, I don't know if I have an example where I had to answer questions, but again, these ones with the screenshots I thought were real cool. Another very minor thing, or small ticket where I'm in the app and I notice, this warning error message banner is like hard to read on my screen, and I've noticed Claude get that wrong before using the design framework, ShadCN, or whatever it's reaching for to do that. And so I made this ticket. I included a screenshot of my own and just kind of told it to fix that. And it, again, simple plan, no clarification needed. And then in the merge request, I can immediately see the before and after of what change it made. And, maybe sometime I'll show a better example of where I kind of do a discussion with it. Yeah, here I was just kind of unblocking the system, but when you're used to getting like 3 questions and it'll give you A, B, C, D kind of choices, you can respond to it the same way in here with those answers, which is great because then I've got everything all logged and know exactly what's going on the project. I don't feel like I've got to have a million tabs open. I can close that terminal running a bunch of Claudes, and if something pops up in the app that I think I want to do later or now, I can just make a ticket for it. I feel like it's a nicer experience to be able to kind of write a meaningful description of what I want than in a terminal. This will work on my phone, and the work will be done on my desktop where Claude's running, but I can manage it on the go and include screenshots, which is a little bit clunky in the terminal. And it's just something I've been trying out the last couple weeks. I'm sure there's a lot of other tools doing similar stuff, but I wanted to capture and share that and see what you guys have been doing to help you manage your workflows and what's been working well for you, what is not, where are you frustrated, and yeah, let me know if there's other uh, harnesses around your agent that I should look at that might be similar to this or um, helpful, because it did take a little bit of work to get this streamlined. It was a little bit harder than I thought it was going to be at first. I thought, oh, it just, Claude can read and write from GitLab, just do its thing, but it does get a little bit complicated when you start having multiple dev environments for your Git work trees and uh, having a loop and tracking the statefulness, and all the little details take time. So I definitely would be open to looking for some better open source solution. I've got a couple in mind, but I'll leave it to you guys in the comments if you have anything you think I should look at. And the other thought is, like, is this stuff dead? Is GitLab, GitHub, ticket tracking, merge requests, is that old paradigm? And should we just skip over that to something new and fresh? Kind of got that in the back of my mind too, but this has been kind of fun. And yeah, just wanted to throw it out there to see what you guys think. Thanks.